Nice. We are streaming live on Facebook. So just a quick disclaimer to anybody that's watching. I got this new camera and it works pretty well, but the problem is it's got like an autofocus on it. So sometimes it like zooms in and out on its own, and it's kind of bugging me. So if I do like this a couple times, So, all right, what's up, everybody? Interview time. Kingdom Gold interview time. All right. So wanted everybody to meet my friend James Howell. I've known James since high school, kind of lost touch since then. But one of the good things about Facebook, other than being able to air all your own little political opinions and foolishness like that, is that you get to kind of watch what people do, and in a good way, not a stark way. You get to watch, the adventures that go on. They get married, they have kids, they start businesses, whatever. And James, I want to give you props, man. It's never easy to start anything, for sure. And you were one of my inspirations after I saw that you started your own electrical company last year. That kind of greased the wheels a little bit for me to start my own thing that following September. So man, I'm proud of you. It's good to see, a young man like yourself, try to forge your own destiny, do more for your family. You got a beautiful family, man. It really does my heart good to see that. So James, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Why don't you give us a little intro on you, man?
Absolutely, Scott. Thanks for having me, bud. This is definitely a pleasure. Anytime I can sit and talk money and business and
right,
kind of grow it. At the end of the day, it's growth, and that's what I look for.
Absolutely.
No, just a little background on me. I'm James Howell. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Broadmoor Buccaneer, raised in Sherwood Forest. That's right, go Bucks. I played some college baseball, went to BRCC, LSU at Eunice, and then graduated from LSU at Alexandria in Alexandria, Louisiana, with a business degree. Always had a little entrepreneurial spirit in me. Being a business major, I always wanted to take the chance, and this is where I'm sitting today. I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of, great things in my life go the right way. Very God blessed, and tell them every day thank you, because I've got, like you said, a beautiful family, a great wife, a good support system, and the sky's the limit. That's how we kind of look at it. Lost you.
Sorry, accidentally muted myself. That's what it's all about, man. At the end of the day, you got it's your family, it's your support system, and it's probably the biggest thing for me has been just having some control over my life and over my destiny. Because you have a job as well. We can talk about that too. But when you work a job, you're working on somebody else's vision, goal, dream, whatever, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just like if you're like me, you can get kind of caught up in the, well, shoot, I'd like to do my own thing. It's like, I'd like to do this way. And it's like, well, you either start your own thing or you just suck it up and deal with it for the rest of your life. That's right. So yeah, that's part of why I'm proud of you too, man. Just, a younger guy taking that step and doing your own thing, man. So props to you. So tell us what you're doing for your day job, so to speak, and then tell us a little bit about your company.
All right. So for my day job, I am a land manager for a company called Venture Global. We're a LNG company, and our company's based out of DC, but we're building LNG plants in Louisiana to ship LNG to the world. Pretty much is that's our vision, the vision of the company. And I'm fortunate enough to be the land manager of the division for the pipeline work. So pretty much what I've done my whole career, I've got 13 years in pipeline land work. And in a sense, what it is I'm the face that the company sends out to talk to these landowners whenever a pipeline's looking to be put in the ground. And so that's my day-to-day work. And then of course, as you stated earlier, I started my company, IHSE, last year. We actually just made a year 3 days ago. So of course, we started it on 2/20, and 10 days after we started it, COVID really hit us. So that's always a great challenge whenever when you look to, follow or chase your dream or grow a passion, and then you get hit with a national
Wham.
worldwide pandemic that just shuts the country down. So, like I said earlier, we've been very, very blessed to be alive. Everybody, I mean, you're supposed to fail whenever you start a company 10 days before a global pandemic.
Right.
And, all the stuff you look for and you look forward to, the reasons you took the step to start the company all disappears whenever you're not allowed to go see people. It's a fear, there's fear in the world from going out and touching people of the unknown. People are scared of the unknown. And
Right.
working through that and growing through that we've been very, very fortunate at IHSE. And I've also been fortunate enough the guys that I have that work for me, I've surrounded myself with some of the best employees out there. I
Awesome.
mean, guys that they care just as much as I do, as if it's their vision or if it's my vision. And
Come on, man. That's great.
I'm friends with them. I'm friends with their families. We're a close knit environment at the company. So it actually helps us a lot with our organic growth. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the start of the company, how it's actually a really cool story of why I had it. I don't know if you got some time, but I can
Yeah.
kind of
Let's do it, man. That's what we're here for.
so me and my son, I'm a big deer hunter, big outdoorsman, and me and my son last year went to the camp, and I was going to bring him on his first deer hunt, and we get to the camp. Well, to get onto my property, you got to cross a creek. That the only time you can't get across the creek is if you get like 16 inches of rain in a night. So it's got to be like a flood that comes through pretty much to stop us from hunting. Well, me and him went to bed at night, woke up, we had 14 inches of rain, water's rushing across the road. Like I'd have to float him in a canoe to get across and then ride a
Wow.
bike down. It's not something I'm going to put my 4-year-old kid in
Right.
30-degree weather. It was nasty raining, perfect deer hunting weather, but with a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old with you, it's just not, as a parent, I couldn't rightfully put him through it. So I was very fortunate. I've got some really good buddies who hunt with me as well. We kind of all hunt each other's properties whenever, different sceneries, be able to see different things, because sitting in the same woods can get old. Well, the week before, I had a good buddy of mine came up and hunted with me at my place and shot a really nice buck on my property. So as soon as me and Hogan's my son, we weren't able to go hunting. I called him and I just asked him, "Hey, look, me and Hogan were going to go hunt. We ran into a problem. We can't get on the property. Any shot you're going to be at the camp this weekend, that we could come just sit in a stand and I could bring him, let him, see deer, let him have a hunt," because he
Right.
was all excited about it and he just kind of got taken away from him. So I go up there with him. He said, "Dude, absolutely. I'm at the camp now. Show up. Come on, bring him. I can't wait." So
Man, that's awesome.
we get to his farm in St. Francisville. He had one of the best, prettiest woods you ever put your eyes on in St. Francisville.
Hmm.
And one of the things we do though before is we like to, sit on the porch and reminisce, play music, swap lies, and we also throw darts, and we just talk through life. Always catching up with friends. You
Yeah.
go through, and with that comes complaining, which in this instance, complaining was a godsend. So I'm sitting on the porch talking to him, and he's talking about how he's got all of this work that he keeps having these subcontractors that are taking advantage of him, that are, you know, charging him way more than it's actually worth. He's looking for
Mhm.
somebody honest. They've tried different routes, as in go and buy companies and do this and do that, and they hadn't really found the right fit. So in my mind, as soon as he said that, my brain just starts doing this, just starts spinning. Like he's got all this work. What is this going to take? I mean, like, why couldn't I do it? What's stopping me to do this?
Right.
Why won't I do this? And I just made the comment to him. I was like, look, I'll be honest with you. What if I start a company? And he looked at me straight in my eyes and he said, if you start a company, I'll give you all my work. Like, it's yours. If you can manage to put it together. I mean, he wasn't expecting me to be able to, to start an electrical company from nothing. I know zero about electrical. I know this much about, I apologize. I knew this much about electrical.
Interesting. Okay.
I knew how to run a business. I knew how to grow a business. I knew the business side of it because that's what I did in school. I majored in it. So I learned, how to create it from the ground up and how to grow it. By trade, I'm also, like I said earlier, a landman. I talk to people. I'm a people person. I like to go out, shake hands, kiss babies, all that good stuff, right? So I have the ability to market the company as well. So that's what I kind of brought initially to the thing. So I told him, I was like, let me start it. And he said, okay, not thinking I'd do it. Well, so I called my dad, who's actually one of my mentors, and he's, well, for lack of better words, he's my best friend. He's one of my mentors. He's just one of those guys in your life that you really are excited to have.
Yeah.
And he, I kind of told him what happened and what we were talking about with my buddy at the camp. And he said, well, believe it or not, I think I might know a guy. Because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for somebody, because they have the work now. It's not like, hey, the work's
Right.
3 months down the road. They're ready. If I have a company, as soon as I can get it started, they're cutting POs to us. Like, let's go. So I've got to find somebody who's already got a company that maybe is just doing it part-time, didn't, maybe really small, does it on the weekend, something like that.
Right.
And then be able to take that, move it into the new company that I'm looking to grow and expand. So my dad calls me the next day and he tells me, look, I've got this guy you need to talk to. So my dad's background, he's been doing electrical for 40 years.
Really?
Yeah, 40 years, but he does motor reliability testing. So any kind of
cool.
big electric motors, he pretty much will tell you, this is how you fix it. If you don't, it's going to break. And he can prevent your big 40, 50,000, $100,000 motors from breaking just by putting them on maintenance plans and showing, the thermal imaging of why the product's failing. And so he says, you need to call this guy. I think he's exactly what you're looking for. So I call my partner. His name's Brent McCann. I call him on the phone and I kind of tell him what's going on. And I call him out the blue. So he's like taken back. He's like, dude, I don't know what to do with my hands. That's pretty much what he said. Like, I don't know he's like, I need to talk to my wife. I've got family. He's got kids in college. He also works for a company called Hood Container in St. Francisville.
Yeah.
E&I scheduler out there as well. So
okay, so he was like totally.
Yeah, he was like, okay, like why is this guy calling me? I tell him, my dad recommended him, said he had a company, a smaller business, and then just asked him, hey, do you have a dream of are you happy where you're at, or do you have a dream of maybe being able to expand something? And so me and him talked for probably an hour. Never met the guy in my life. Talked. Conversation was easy. Just kept flowing, all of that good stuff. And then we hang up. And then 3 days later, I get a call from him. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's not interested. I'm going to just start, looking other directions and things like that. And 3 days later, he calls me. He's like, let's go to dinner. My wife wants to meet you. I think we're in.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, man, here we go. Let's rock. So we go to dinner. We have a great dinner. Me and his wife get along. We click. Me and him, same thing. It was kind of like we sat down at the table and we both had the same vision.
Did he used to work for your dad or with your dad?
So he worked with my dad, and then now my dad actually does a bunch of work out there at that facility that they're at.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's like a intermingled relationship.
Yeah.
So to speak. Well, we so that's 3 days afterwards. We go to dinner. Between then and 12 days. 12 days was how long it took before the company was up and running. And in between that time, there was like 3 or 4 different things that should have stopped us. Like, paperwork got lost in the mail. This happened. It was like, you should not be making this company, but every single time these doors opened up and the problems just kept fixing themselves and just kept growing and growing and growing.
Man, well, that's awesome.
Another cool thing that really happened, and this is really kind of what excited me about it. Me and my wife go to church and I tell her on Sunday morning, like, I talked to my buddy and laid it out in front of her. And she's like, well, look, just go to church and pray about it. See if there's something that, maybe hear, or just go and pray on it. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. Pray on it. And he normally finds a way to show you what he wants. You just have to be looking for it to accept it. And we're sitting in church and probably halfway through the sermon, I get elbowed like 3 times. And she's like, are you hearing this? I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, listen to what he's saying. And not 5 minutes later, he said electric again. She said, that's like the 5th time he said that. He said electric 5 times already in his message. And I'm like, well, all right. I mean, it's a coincidence. Well, he said it 8 times total in the whole message. I was like, all right, look, at the end of the day, I'm asking for a sign. The preacher's sitting here. He has no reason to say electric 8 times in a message. But if it weren't for my wife, I probably wouldn't have heard it. And looking
That's
at
why you
it,
got to listen to him, right?
oh man, it's crazy. She's way smarter than me. Don't tell her I said that. She'll probably watch this, but she's definitely a driver of my life.
We'll edit that part out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just bleep that out. Just act like I pressed the mute button on my phone or something.
Right.
But no, yeah, right. So she, we go, and I think to myself, I'm like, all right, so I've asked for a sign. He's given me a sign. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, I can go and do all the business side of it and put it together, and I might lose some money, right? But I could also build a legacy for my family, which is what I'm really wanting to do. I've been very fortunate in my career. I'm a young guy who has been very successful in what I do. And it's, again, I work very hard. I work harder than a lot more people. I mean, than a lot of people know, but I'm also a fan of working smarter rather than harder.
Yes.
So that's a big thing that kind of works with me. And we went from that one message in church to, all right, I'm going to try it. Well, we get to 12 days, and now the guy's we're ready to go. And so we're starting to think of a name, like what do we name this company? So he's got a company already, but I want to bring it into a company where we both own, to make sure everything's legit on paper and everything's I's dotted, T's crossed, all that good stuff. And he's a Christian man too. So we're sitting there talking, and he's like, dude, it's like he's wanting us to do this. And I was like, well, it's like we're almost doing it in his service. And he's like, well, what about in his service? I was like, IHS, let's try that. IHS electrical.
There you go.
We go and look it up. Well, there's an IHS company. So we then take it and we put it as IHS Enterprises. So the IHSE stands for In His Service Enterprises. It's kind of how
Very
it came
cool,
up.
man.
It's a really cool story. And I think part of the reason is, and it's almost biblical the way it happens, because there's a flood that puts me on my buddy's porch that then makes it to where we're talking about work, where then he has this problem and I have an ability to solve a need for him. So, I mean, it's just small things like that happen. Well, at this time, I am not working for an oil and gas company. COVID had already shut down my oil and gas side. So, I start growing my business and I'm working full time in it. I'm diving into it. Well, the business just starts growing. And I get to a point where my partner still has his job at Hood Container, and I'm trying to go and expand the company, but I cannot run jobs and expand the company and do all of the different aspects you need to be able to do with it. So I've got to go find somebody that can help me really get this thing growing. So this is another reason that's really cool. I'm also building a house at this point, my forever home out in the country of Livingston, Louisiana. Again, I'm starting a company. I don't have my oil and gas job. I'm building my house. I bought land. Like, I mean, I'm like,
but
God,
sometimes that's the way to do it. Like if you're already doing so many things, like, hey, why not just do all of it?
Just throw it all on top.
That's
Look,
it.
just dive into it. You got to fully commit. Honestly, that's the biggest thing you take away from this. If you're going to commit, fully commit.
Right.
I had to. I had 3 kids. I have a family. Like I've got to be successful for them. So I start looking around for some help, and I'm wiring my house. I have one of the guys that works for me is over there wiring the house for me, and his boss at the other company that he's working for comes over and helps him. Well, I start hearing him talk about how he'd really like to, find another position. He feels pigeonholed, locked in where he's at, and really there's no advancement for him. So I just kind of pick his brain. I'm like, look, well, so the guy that's wiring my house name is David Hutchinson. And he tells me, look, this guy, he's young, he's hungry, he's a savant when it comes to electrical. He's been doing it his whole life. He's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's run from the smallest to really decent sized jobs. I mean, he's not run multi-million-dollar jobs in plants or anything like that, but in the commercial and custom residential world, that's his realm where he really thrives in. Okay. And so I talked to him and I'm like, would you ever consider making the jump? And he's like, we start talking price and pay and this and that and opportunity and future. And within 2 days, he calls me and he's like, dude, I'm in. I said, all right, sweet. So I got him on board. I've got the project manager, the ability to run my day to day, help with the growth of the company. Well, then 2 days after I hire him, my oil and gas venture global calls me and says, hey, we want you to interview for this position. You would fit perfect with our company, our morals, all of that stuff. We would love for you to have it. So if I was, if I don't have him on board, it's either stop my company or it's and go do what I've done for my whole career. I was fortunate enough to bring on the guy that could help
Yeah.
my company sustain itself and grow it. And then now he's the director of my company. He's a very valuable member of our process procedures, top to bottom. I mean, he is the face of our company in a nutshell, and he's a hard worker. He brought a core group of guys with him that care. Like I told you earlier, surrounding yourself with people that care as much as you do about your vision is the
Absolutely.
key success to having a successful company. And I've been fortunate enough to have it. I get my dream job with the oil and gas company. I also get to now take myself off of my company's payroll to help the company grow and flourish while I'm also working at this other job. So
Right.
it's been a win situation
Man, that's awesome.
since we started. And like I said, the only thing that wasn't a win situation was COVID, because we started the company on 2/20 was when we were fully licensed, and March 1st was when they shut down the economy. So I mean, we've been fortunate enough to survive, stay alive, and grow, and we're gonna keep doing it as much as we can. That's
Yeah,
kind of
that's awesome, man.
just the basics of
Yeah,
where the company came from. I know it's a long-winded story, but it's one of those stories that I feel like I don't do God service if I don't tell it, because
absolutely.
being able to listen and pray for something, you'll see it. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. I still, I'm a human as all get out. I still, sin. I do all of the above, but anytime that I can give him praise, I'm going to do it, because every time I do it, it's crazy how doors open up.
You know,
Talk to
it's
one person
it's
in
it's
every
funny you
corner.
mentioned that, because in the business world you're not supposed to do that, right?
Right,
And
right.
I found myself, I don't know if tempted is the right word or whatever, but the thought has been there, like, oh well, don't mention God in this, don't mention God in that. And then I kind of came to the conclusion, you're like, hold up, if somehow I make less money or do less work or whatever by honoring God, then it's like, well, I guess I'll just make less money.
Fact. It's
It's
a
like
fact.
he gave it to me in the first place, so why would I not, honor him with that?
Well, and then one of my mentors was he hit it for me, because I struggle with that. I always was just he kind of me and him. I have a mentor in David Mailer that owns H&O Grounds, an unbelievable, beautification company. They cut grass. That's what he does. He's got a multi-million-dollar grass cutting company. But the guy
Wow.
came. He's a Broadmoor graduate. He's the same. He kind of started on the same career path that I went on, and he told me, and it hit home to me because it's exactly how I felt. I've always struggled with being the cool, fun guy, and like always keeping up with the Joneses and this and that. And I asked him again. He's one of my mentors. I asked him, like, what gets you away from that? And the way he put it was, honestly, like you said, if I don't forward God's kingdom, then it can be taken away from me like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but we
Right.
serve the one who is, and the only thing we can do is do it for him. And that's kind of
Come on, bro.
where,
We're gonna start preaching here in a minute if
dude,
we're
I'm
not
over here.
careful.
I'm like, hey, praise, preacher man, kind of man. But no, I mean, it really is, and I have to give it back anytime I can. And if anybody ever wants to talk about it, I'm glad to, because I'm very passionate about it. Like I said, anytime I'm able to speak about it, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what's cool is there's a lot of stuff to unpack with your story. Um, I mean, so it was a long story, but just some of the points that really stuck out to me was, for one, you had a why. There was a reason that you wanted to start it. Even before that. So let me back up what I just said. So you had a why, right? It's like you might not even have realized it, but it's like you knew you wanted to do something for your family, for your life, for your legacy, your kids, whatever. And that's kind of my story too, is like I knew I wanted to do something, I just didn't know what that was. And
Right.
then, you saw a problem, right? Your buddy said he has all this work, not enough good people to do it. And you're like, well, shoot, I'll do it.
Right.
And so, like, positioning yourself and being ready to take on an opportunity, that's huge. I mean, that's the whole reason I'm doing this, is to help people wake themselves up to, like, if you're ready for that opportunity, then opportunity's everywhere,
Right.
right? And then the other thing that really stuck out to me was, I've seen this with so many companies. Everybody wants full control and they want to do everything themselves. You, on the other hand, you surrounded yourself with good people. You
Right.
were able to get good employees. God brought the right people into your life, and you're able to work with those people. And as a
Absolutely.
team, y'all were able to grow this company into something that would survive a pandemic and that would survive, and grow and whatever else.
That's ex-
So I'm glad you told the whole story, because there's a lot to unpack there, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I said, it's pretty, I'm excited about it. I get passionate about talking about it because the way it's placed and the way it works out, it just it keeps building and compounding. You're right.
Absolutely, man. So what would you say if you just had to put your why into words? What was that driving force that said, I need to do something for my longevity or for my legacy? What would you say? How would you put that into words yourself?
Um, Legacy, honestly, is the best word to put it. I want to leave a legacy for my kids to be proud of. My parents worked hard. They did great for themselves, and I didn't struggle. I watched my family take in people that struggled, and we had people that lived with us. We had two different instances. My parents took in people that struggled, and I watched the compassion and the grace that my mother and my father gave to these people that were struggling. And I want my kids to be able to, I look up to them. My mom is one of my mentors, and my dad, like I said, is one of my best friends and one of my mentors as well. And I look up to them, the way they've lived their life, how they've taught me to be, how they've raised me. I want the same thing for my kids to be able to see that. And as far as the company goes, that legacy is the best word of my why, to
Yeah,
leave something that they can be proud of.
yeah, that's great, man. Before I forget to ask, let's talk a little bit about the practical aspect, because there's people out there that want to start their own business or company, or I guess I would kind of classify you as like a electrical service company, stuff like that, a skilled trade, things like that. What are some of the practical things that you had to go through, and how did you manage that? So, for example, like, you had to get licensed, I'm sure you had to get insurance, you had to go through, I'm sure, some sort of, you know, what's the right word, government rigmarole, whatever. Just talk a little bit about that for you specifically, and your company specifically, how y'all handled that.
So initially, starting a company, you've got to make a name and file with the Secretary of State and get your tax identification numbers and things like that. So again, having my business background, we did mock companies in class as assignments. So what I actually was,
Okay, so you had the kind of the background that you
I was
didn't
able,
need any.
right, right. I was able to fall back into my material, and then I'm also
Interesting.
I'm studious when it comes to learning something. I'm not great at anything. I try to be good at everything. That's how I look at myself. I have the weirdest talents. Like, I'm good at ping pong. That's like, nope. I mean, who's good at ping pong? Really, I have weird talents. But one thing that I do pride myself on is learning and being a sponge and trying to figure out the next thing and what can help me grow as a person, because you never know what aspect is going to lead you to the successful part of your company,
That's
or
right.
to a successful company. Or it could be, I have a company here and I learned something else that I decide to take off and just learn on my own. And then it grows another company. I have like I told you earlier, an entrepreneurial spirit. So anytime that I can put my hand in a cookie jar, you never know which one's going to have a crumb in it. And
Absolutely.
you get enough cookie jars with enough crumbs, you start making cookies. And that's when everybody starts to eat. You know what I mean? That's kind
Right.
of that's kind of how I look at it. But no, and then on the licensing side, I was fortunate enough, like I said, I already had a partner. my partner had already been licensed. He already had the insurances taken care of. So the only thing we did was we took our Louisiana license and we're expanded into, now we're licensed in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So
Wow.
I've got the whole Gulf Coast. One of the reasons in my vision of it is because electrical, a lot of problems that happen on the Gulf Coast are electrical because of storms and the different winter weathers and problems that you have that living on the coast. So anywhere that I can spread out, if a hurricane comes, we have the ability to go and help do work here. It's
Right.
also giving back because we're able to get in these areas and work in different aspects and areas of it. So uh, having that partner who already had the license helped out, and then we just took what he had and then grew it out.
Right. Yeah, and it's because I've thought about this too, like the storm impacted areas. There's a lot of people that decide to do their own electrical because there aren't enough people like you, like qualified people that want to help other people. So I'm sure you get a lot of business from that as well. Just the people that try to do their own thing and don't
Oh
maybe
yeah,
not necessarily know what they're
right.
doing.
Yeah, they either do their own thing or they go with the cheapest route, and you always end up coming back having to fix the stuff behind them. That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Well, another thing that helped too is whenever I was looking into this, I did the research on trades in the area, and electrical was down like 30% whenever I did the research on it. And there was a shortage of electricians in the Louisiana area. There's a shortage of trades everywhere. We've been pushed college, 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 and college is great. I mean, I learned a lot in life. I learned a lot of life experiences. I met my wife. I was fortunate enough to play ball, but college isn't for everybody. They have trades out there.
Yes.
It's a whole nother skill. You can be a plumber and make $100,000+ a year just from learning how to make sure water flows downhill. I mean, that's in a nutshell. I mean, plumbing. I have a big respect for plumbers because I watch them, we deal with them, we work with them on the regular. But you can make just as much money going to college and getting an art degree as you can. And no offense to art degrees, everybody likes art. We're passionate, right? But as you can go into a trade school for 5 months and then you can start a company and go after it. You just have to have the
Absolutely.
drive and the want and the gumption to get up and go. Honestly, is the best
And
way to put it.
actually, that's so. I don't know if you knew this, but I teach night class at ITI,
Awesome.
and so I have a lot of guys that are coming in from trade school and stuff like that. And I see a lot of the programming from our educational system. Like go to school, go work for somebody, or I didn't go to college, so this is really the only thing I had left, type thing, right? It's like, no,
Right.
no, no, no. Once you learn this skill, there's so many ways you can apply it, and that's
Right.
actually one of the reasons I wanted to have you on was because a lot of the guys that I deal with are electrically inclined or they've done electrical work and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, if I can show them somebody that started, I mean, like you said it yourself, you had zero electrical knowledge when you started, right?
Right.
So, if they can learn the business side of it, and if I can help them learn the business side of it, then
Right.
they can go start their own things, right? Or maybe they could even come work for you, good
Right.
guys, and come and they grow your company.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
Well,
that's
I'm always willing and entertaining any kind of offer and option.
yeah, man. So so tell us give us the what's the right word? Give us the real deal answer here. So, what's the advantages and disadvantages of doing what you're doing? So, from the company aspect, but also like the job and the running the company aspect, because like you're having to live in two different worlds, kind of doing that.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Right. So I take pride in my work. That's how I start. I do work for another company, so I give that company 110% every day of the week. That's first and foremost. But in my mind, I work any other waking minute I have to make sure my company's growing and advancing. So I'd say some of the advantages that I have is, you know, I have the ability to be my own boss. Again, I work in the oil and gas field. Oil and gas is not great right now. So having my own company is a good fallback plan for me. It's an ability to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're dying. It's really how it works. If you can't adapt, you're going to die, or you're going to get stagnant and stale water is all it is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then, I have the advantage, like I told you earlier, leaving the legacy for my kids. And if I really want, at some point, which could be a possibility, who knows when down the line, but it could grow into my full-time job where I don't need any kind of supplemental income for it. So
Right.
that's some of the advantages I have. Now there are disadvantages, don't let me lie to you. Without a great support system and an unbelievable wife, you know, my wife she's a superwoman. She's beautiful, talented, smart. She helps out a lot with the company as well. But you know, the
And she has
disadvantages.
a job too, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, she works for an engineering firm.
Okay.
Um, she's a she's so smart. Again, I'm on mute talking like this. You know what I'm saying? But again, the disadvantages, it's a lot of work. I mean, it really is. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to put in the 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock sometimes to get the stuff moving and growing and getting in the right direction. It takes away from
Absolutely.
your family time. You know, there's times where I'm throwing a ball with a kid that I'm also on the phone with a client, or I'm talking to my director about a problem we have, or you work with people have problems, so there's sympathetic stuff that you have to be there for your guys, especially if you care. It's always the want, the need to be there for people.
Yeah.
And so, but it takes away from your family. And then like I said, it's I there's 12 o'clock nights at least twice a week where I'm punching on a computer and I'm doing stuff to get ready, because I spent the whole day completely ingrained in my oil and gas job, and I wasn't able to get around to the stuff that as a business owner I need to take care of. So that's where there's you lose some sleep sometimes, and you're up and you're tired during the day. But in the back of my mind, it's always you're building something for your kids and your life and your legacy, and that's where my passion lies, and that's what I'm going to keep doing until I can't anymore.
Absolutely, man. I wanna use you as a case study. Actually, I'm gonna do a separate video about this because a lot of people have a misconception, a couple of misconceptions actually. But the from my perspective, okay, the big buzzword is passive income. Everybody wants passive income so they can go lay on the beach all day and never have to work again, right? And what a lot of people don't understand is there is no passive income. There's zero passive income out there. You have to build it. And then, yeah, it might not take as much attention at some point, but you still have to monitor it and work with it. And then also, people are like so ready to quit their jobs, and, they're it's like, for me, it's like, let's just say you make, I don't know, let's just say 100 grand a year, okay, at your job. That's 100 grand a year, right? I mean, that's still an asset that you can pay off debt, you can do whatever. So it's like, yeah, it'd be great to just go do whatever you want, but why not find a balance and get both? And then as you grow the one that you're working on for yourself, then maybe start thinking about, if you wanted to quit your job or whatever. But it just seems to me like people are so bent on, I want to have something so I can quit my job. It's like it doesn't it doesn't work like that. You got to put in the time and the time and the time and the time. And
Grind.
it's like,
You got to
for
be
me,
willing to
it's like,
grind. Right.
yeah, it's like, for me, if I'm not with my kids or, on my job, I'm working. I'm
Right.
s- I'm still working on my stuff. And there's a lot of people that they want it handed to them. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like they don't understand that it
Right.
doesn't just get handed to you. You have to go create it and build it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I might even bring you on for that video.
Come on, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah, we'll see. So what would you say? So you've only had this company for a year. What would you tell a younger James, if you could? I guess from a business perspective, like, what would you tell younger James if you could, from what you have learned in this past year?
Probably three different things. I'd say one, my biggest thing I would say is get everything in writing, contracts wise, top to bottom. Get it in writing. Have it signed, sealed, delivered. Even though it's easier to just do something on a handshake, handshakes, no matter how good people are, fall through sometimes, and then you get stuck with some of the ramifications of it. So having it in writing is one of the things. Number two, I'd say have you a set of peers that or keep your set of peers around you to bounce ideas off of, because somebody might have seen something, knows something that you haven't been through, but maybe they've already walked through it. So
Right.
having a set of peers like that is definitely beneficial. And then number three is more me personally. I did okay in college, and I I could have done a lot better. I could have taken a few things more seriously,
Sure.
and it just, if I'd have studied harder and took it a little more serious in college, I wouldn't have had to do some rediscovery going back into,
Right.
other ventures. So just paying attention, even though, college is supposed to be fun and this and that, really paying attention a little bit more to some of the stuff that I knew I was going to be passionate about would have saved me a bunch of time in the long run for sure.
Yeah. Amen to that, bro. Cool. That's good. The first one I wasn't expecting, but that's definitely extremely wise. Because I try to find the good in people, and I try to do stuff like what you're saying, like you know, just doing on a handshake. I trust your word, you trust my word. But there's, especially nowadays, man, there's so many factors that you just can't. Uh, it's a much more complex world than like what our grandfathers used to live in. So getting it in writing, it protects you, it protects me, it protects all parties involved, and it says, okay, this is exactly what we are agreeing on, and we're going to do this thing, and if we
Right.
change it, we're going to write that down too.
Right, right. And again, you can be best friends with somebody and you trust them with your life, but they might be working for somebody else that tells them something that they can't control. So no
Right.
matter if you don't have it in writing, it's your word versus their word. And if they're the ones paying you, you might run into problems. Is really
Right.
what I would say.
Absolutely. So someone else wanted to start their own electrical company. What would you advise them was like the first things to go do?
Commit. It's kind of a cheesy answer, but you can't go into something like this just I might do it. If you're going to do it, commit. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to research. You're going to have to be willing to put in the time and the work to get into it. But at the end of the day, you put in all this work. It's a lot of work, yes, but the reward can be worth every second of it.
Right.
Committing to something is the only way to be successful. You can't, like we said earlier, you can't do it half cocked. You got to be fully committed if you want to do it. And
Absolutely.
that would be my shotgun start is you have to be willing to say, all right, I'm doing this. Not
Right.
I think I'm going to try it. I'm doing this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah. To me, it was I basically said, I'm going to be successful at this or die trying.
Right.
And I'm in it. If it takes me, till I'm 80 to be successful with whatever I'm doing, then it's just going to take me till 80. Like I'm not stopping, I'm not quitting. That it's like, for one, I can't afford to, like, from a financial security aspect, just because you can't just depend on one stream of income. And for two, just from I guess the mental satisfaction of just knowing that I was able to do something and that I pushed forward. That was kind of a big thing for me.
Nice.
And then having that outlet to express my own creativity and do things my own way, and fix, kind of like you fix the problem fit, because you have a perspective of the problem and you solve the problem from that perspective, and that perspective gets solved. you know
Right.
it's hard to do that when you're working from somebody else. So what would you say, um well, you kind of said this earlier, but I'll give you a chance to say it a little bit more explicitly. Who would you say have been some of your big influencers or mentors, or people that kind of pushed you over the edge when you decided you wanted to start your own business?
So I've got four different answers for that. One, my mother, she taught me how to work hard. She was a lady, worked for Shell Pipeline in a man's world and thrived. So she would be one. Two, like I said, my father, hardworking, owns his own business. Uh, just a great person to lean on and bounce ideas off of. Number three, have a set of mentors. You don't just have one mentor. Have multiple. because they're all going to have a different walk that they've gone through, and being able to lean
Good
on
point.
people that are doing better than you, it's surrounding yourself with people that are doing better than you makes you want to do better, and it puts you in advantageous situations that help you to flourish. If you keep yourself around people that are doing better than you, most of the time they know people that can help you out doing what you're trying to do.
Right.
So having a group of mentors that are also good people, it's fine and good to have, people who got a lot of money, but finding good people that genuinely care about you and yourself and your
Right.
family and all of that stuff is a big aspect of it. And then the last one I'd say is I have a group of friends that we all went to high school together, and we all come from totally different areas, but it's kind of weird. We're all in a construction industry. And so we have a group message that we talk every day, every single day. There's some kind of message that comes. I have my phone's on silent every single night because this message goes off to about 11 o'clock every night of just tomfoolery, anything from, the top to the bottom. It's sports, it's business, it's stocks, it's everything that just keeps your mind sharp. And then you bouncing business ideas off of people. Hey, I'm looking for this contact. Oh, look, we did work for him last week. Here, take this. A group of peers that care about their family as well, and they want to do better. It puts everybody in a circle, and then now the circle just keeps growing, and then every everybody wants to help everybody, so it
Yeah.
just works. It's helped out. It's helped me out. Again, they're business owners, they're business development gurus, they're engineers, they're drafters. So you name it. This group of guys has it. We have somebody can do it, and so us being able to bounce stuff off of each other and relate to problems that we have, and you know, like I said with your mentors, they've done stuff that I haven't done. So hearing their problems and circumventing that for myself, so I don't have to go through it as well, just by talking with them, is
Right.
it saves you just countless hours and money and all of the above. So
Absolutely.
that would be my four big things: is my mother, my father, my mentors, and then that great group of friends I was telling you about.
Yeah, and I'm actually really very jealous of that because I don't have a that. It's very rare to find people like you're saying that have that common goal, and then to have a group of them nonetheless, and then you guys all like each other enough to like stay on this text thread. That's
Right.
that's awesome, man. I'm really happy for you that you have that.
Man, I
So,
appreciate it. Yeah, they're good group of dudes. I actually have 75 messages right now as we're sitting here doing this interview. That's how
are
that's
you
how the message.
serious?
Oh yeah, it gets to a point. You look away for 20 minutes, and when you go to catch up, you have
Oh,
you're going down the list laughing and loving and this and that. I mean, like I said, it's everything from our kids growing up to our wives to
how
you're
many guys
pregnant.
is on it?
10 of us.
Oh,
And
wow,
oh yeah, I mean, everybody does something different. So
dude, that's
it's
amazing, man.
yep. Yep.
Good for y'all, man. So I guess maybe on that note, do you have any other income streams or businesses or things you're looking at or trying to explore right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, I invest. I'm always looking for the next investment opportunity. That's something that I'm a big fan of. I dabble in the stock market. I um I
Did you
own
get some
property.
GameStop?
I got a little bit of it. I bought it. I bought the dip. So I'm currently holding a stock right now that I was told should do really well, and it hasn't done really well today. So I'm kind of like throwing my hat backwards. I don't know what I'm doing type of thing, but no, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at investment property. Property's always going to go up. Other avenues. I mean, I just the other day somebody called me and wanted, hey, look, I'm looking at doing this. You got any advice? Would you be willing to invest in the company? And then I'm always looking. You put a business plan together. If you're The way I look at it, if somebody's serious enough to put a business plan together and come and sit and do a presentation for me, I'll entertain anybody, because you never know what's going to come out of it.
Yeah,
And so, like I told the analogy I used earlier, the cookie jar. You never know which one's going to have a big old cookie in it. So that's what
that's
I'm
right.
always looking for crumbs.
Okay, cool. I like that. I like that perspective. I'm trying to get my thoughts together because something that's really important with that is excuse me, you're not afraid or unwilling to learn. Like
Right.
if I came up to you and I said, "Hey James, I got this, I don't know, neurosurgery robot." You don't know about neurosurgery, but you would be willing to learn what you need to know from a business perspective if that's a sound investment or not. And I think more people need to do that. Like I didn't know anything about the internet marketing game 6 months ago, but
Right.
doggone, I'm getting pretty up to speed on it now.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about websites or anything, but I'm slowly learning, and
Learning
I'm getting there.
SEOs and all of the stuff that comes with it, right?
Absolutely, man.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's one thing I'm trying to do, just wake people up that it's okay if you are not an expert day one. It's
Right.
totally okay. Give yourself some grace and just be willing to learn it. And a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, you'll look at you and be like, wow, I can do some pretty cool stuff.
Right. Right. You surprise yourself if you really care and you're passionate about it. How if you dive into it and fully commit, what you can accomplish. It really is.
Yeah.
I concur
Uh,
with that 100%.
and so, okay, quick soapbox. All right. So anyone, I'm going to look directly at the camera. Anyone out there that thinks, I can't learn this. I'm too old. I'm too young. Haven't been to college. Whatever your excuse is. Okay. You can do it. Just allow yourself the room to grow. Allow yourself opportunities to fail. James kind of mentioned this in passing earlier, so I'm going to say it now. Don't be afraid to lose some money, okay? Because it's just money. You can always make more of it, okay? It's not like you're losing your finger unless you do something really bad, I
Right.
guess. But don't do that, okay?
Right.
So whoever is out there listening to me right now, it's my passion, okay? Please don't count yourself out because you can do it as long as you're willing to learn. Off the soapbox now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's perfect. Nailed it.
Yep, back to James. All right, so okay, we actually did get quite. Your story kind of covered a lot of the questions, which is good. I appreciated the detailed backstory. So my big thing is waking people up to their own financial security and showing people how they can start a business or a home based business or whatever. Basically, just so even from a Christian perspective, okay, I think the time is coming where Christian people, the church needs finances and resources, and they need to be more financially stable so they can do the things that we're expecting government to do right now, like feed the poor and clothe the naked and that type of stuff. I think it's time for the church to get more hands on, and we're going to need more resources to do it. So that's part of why I'm so passionate about this as well. So what would you say is the number one thing people could do today to be more financially stable?
So my mom told me this right when I got out of college. She said, especially in land work, land work can dry up for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months sometimes. I was very fortunate that I never really had it happen to me. But the best advice she gave me, and it's reigned true to this day, save 6 months worth of bills and put it in your account and never even look at it. You can survive and you can make a lot of stuff happen in your life in 6 months. So if you've got your bills covered,
Yep.
you have the ability to go out and make something. If something falls through in 6 months, you have the ability to make something new happen. So that's the best advice I've ever gotten. I take it to heart. Saving 6 months of your bills, and it might take you a while to do it, but save it. Instead of going by, like I told you earlier, I was a big fan of material possessions. I try to get rid of material possessions now because they take up room in my shop. But I've also learned that saving this money, it just takes a lot of stress off of you. You have a family, you
Right.
need to be able to provide for them. If something happens to you, your family needs to be able to be provided for. If you die, your family needs to be taken care of. So
Absolutely.
save 6 months worth of bills is the best advice I was ever given. And if I could pass that on, that'd be one thing that I would definitely say.
Yep. And I'm not taking anything away from that for sure, because I think that's 100% correct. But to me also, I think people need to wake up to the get an additional income stream. Okay. So let's say you make $100,000 on your job, and then you make, let's just say, 50,000 from either a second job or another income stream. Well, if one of those dries up, you still have some plus your 6 months of savings.
Right.
And I love what you said. Like a lot can happen in 6 months, especially if you're driven and you're disciplined and your why is big enough. You're
Right.
taking care of your family. You want to make sure that something happens, they're taken care of. You can do a lot in 6 months. So I love that, man. Love that you said that. All right. So um, actually, let's do two more questions because I want to get your perspective on this. So when things get hard or when motivation tanks and you're tired, you don't want to stay up till midnight doing your paperwork. People think you're crazy, or COVID-19 happens and the government shuts everything down. Um, what do you do to keep going, or how do you mentally push through those hurdles?
I have a picture on my phone of my kids and my wife. It's kind of cliche. I know everybody, you hear it a lot, but my son told me, so 2 months after I started the company, this kind of hit with me pretty well. He walked up to me and he said, "Dad," I asked him what he wanted to be when he got older. He said, "Dad, I want to be a CEO like you. I want to be a CEO of a company like you." And I was like, "Okay, buddy. Well, you can do anything you want." The next day, I have a hat sitting in there. He takes it, puts it on his head, and wears it to school, and acts like he's a CEO. It's adorable stuff
That's
like
what I'm
that.
talking about, bro.
The passion you see in your kids' eyes, the proudness of them, it makes those, while I'm fuzzy eyed looking at the computer poking away, that, there's an ability later on for them to be able to, uh, reap the benefits of my hard work. And so
Absolutely, man.
that keeps me going pretty much.
Man, beautifully said. Reap the benefits of your hard work. I mean, because that's what it's all about. Like I don't know if you knew, my dad just passed away, and I've always thought, like, I am where I'm at because of the sacrifices that my dad made, and I would not be where I'm at right now if he had not put in the effort 30 years ago. You
Right.
know, and I'm in the same vein as you, bro. It's the more I do now, the farther along my kids will be, whenever I'm gone.
Right.
And then the farther along their kids will be from where, my girls are right now. So man, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. That's awesome. So, okay. So now let's do some rewarding for your time. So
There
if
we go.
anybody wanted to contact you to solicit your electrical for, I guess, so you do all electrical, is it just new
Industrial
construction
all the way
or
down. So we do industrial electric all the way down to custom home, top to bottom.
okay,
We do sports lighting, we do generators. I mean, anything that we can make money on electrically, I'm not gonna say no to it.
right,
I'm a firm believer, especially while you're growing, that people are gonna pass up crumbs, and being willing to take the crumbs that people don't want, the crumbs lead to the big pie.
absolutely,
Crumbs lead, that is a big, my mentor David told me that. He said, crumbs, get the crumbs. That's how he started. That's how he grew. He took the crumbs nobody wanted and did a good job at them. Well, that good job you did for those few crumbs was then told to the next person, and they had a slice of pie. So then now you get a slice of pie. Well, that next person told them how great you did on that. Now you got the whole pie. And then now
right,
you got the bakery, and now you got a chain of bakeries. I mean, it's a compounding thing. You do good work and you're passionate about it enough, it just keeps growing.
absolutely, man. So how does, if someone wanted to get in his service enterprises IHSE, and get some quality electric work done, how would they get in touch with you?
First thing, they can always email me. My email is jhowell@goihse.com.
So I'm gonna make some notes, and what I'll do, I'll go back and put this in the comments.
Perfect,
So what
perfect.
was your email?
jhowell@goihse.com.
Oh,
They,
go.
yeah,
I was like, what is Goice?
yeah, no, goihse.com. That's also our website. So they can go to the website and find us there, www.goihse.com, and also on Facebook at IHSE.
All right. Do you have like a sales guy or somebody if they wanted to call and talk to somebody?
Yes, I do. He'd be my director. His name's Charlie Owens. His email is just like mine, cowens@goihse.com.
All right. Perfect. All right, man. Well, dude, it was a great talk. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your perspective. And like I said, you were one of the people that, I know we don't know each other super well, but for one, I'm hoping to change that. And,
Right. Absolutely.
just seeing what that you went after it, and, definitely watching you and seeing you doing that, for your family, with your family. As much as people like to hate on Facebook for all of the stupid comments that people post, it actually can be a good thing. So you were definitely one of my inspirations to do my own thing, even though it was like 9 months later.
Hey,
So
still did it
really,
though, right?
oh yeah, absolutely, man. So thank you. Proud of you, bro.
Thanks, guys.
We'll do this again for sure.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thanks, bud. Have a great
Yeah,
day.
you got it, man. You too.